Okay, shalom, chevra, shalom. Welcome to part two of our recording series. We're going to be learning a little bit of halacha, and we're going to be learning a little bit new Gemara, and hopefully it'll be a 15-minute video, no more than that. And next class on Wednesday, we'll have some work to do about this material. Before you're watching this video, I hope you completed both the halacha assessment that we have each week, open notes, and the Gemara worksheet that I supplied to you based on the last week's Gemara about the robbers. That video is still up. You can rewatch it if you need to figure out the answers to that. I am expecting everyone to submit it, and we'll be marking them shortly. Okay, to move on with our halachot, we have number 8. Please get out your Google Docs, and we will begin to type. So we just said, if you forget to count the whole night, now it's morning, you should count without a bracha, and then you can make a bracha the rest of the nights. Now, what happens if you forgot to bless Echad Mehayamin? You forgot the whole day. Whether it's the first night or any other night, you can no longer count with any bracha. Let's write Shulchan Aruch. We like to say who's saying this. Shulchan Aruch says if you forget the entire 24-hour period that night and the following day, you can no longer count with a bracha. But you should still count. There is no one says that you should stop counting. The mitzvah is still to count. You just can't get a bracha along with it. So it's very important that somebody realizes, if I'm out, okay, it happens to the best of us. Happened to me a bunch of years already. Hopefully this year I'm still going. Hopefully make it Mirz Hashem. But if I don't, it still count. Again, I remember I say my wife got out, unfortunately. I make the bracha and she listens with me. We say count together. Okay. However, part 2 of this, if a person is not sure, this happens all the time. Now it's nighttime, and you're about to count, and you say, oh, tonight is 20. Wait a minute, tonight's 20. Did I count 19 last night? I don't remember. I think so. I don't remember counting. I'm not sure now. This happens all the time. The person's not sure whether they counted the night before. Maybe you skipped a night, maybe you didn't. Yisbor b'shar yamin b'bracha. You should count you can count still with a bracha. So you get up to the day and you're like, I don't remember if I counted last night. You can continue with a bracha. Now this is a very interesting halacha because the question is why? Why should I be able to continue with the bracha? So the Mishnah Berurah says something very beautiful, and that is a new concept that everyone's going to learn today. The reason why you're allowed to is because there's something called a svek sveika. Now this is a logical term. This is a logical term that the Torah uses to tell you that if there's a double doubt, you'll see what that means in a second. If there's 2 doubts, then it's probably it doesn't affect you anymore because it's such a watered down doubt. And what I'll explain to you in a second what that means, because of the concept of svek sveika, which means literally doubt of a doubt. Let's explain. What are the 2 doubts here? You have 2 doubts. Usually, if somebody says, did I count last night? I don't know. That's a doubt. I'm not sure. So if I tell you, did you eat breakfast this morning? You can't remember. That's a doubt. You're not sure. So how do you have a double doubt? Think about this for a second. Pause the video if you need to. How do you have a double doubt? What is a double doubt? That should permit something. Let's say, I'm not going to give an example. I'm going to give you the example that the Mishnah Berurah gives. He says the first thing is, perhaps, doubt number 1 here is what? perhaps you did count. So the first suffix is, I'm not sure if I counted. So does that mean I'm 50-50? And I'm not sure. So it's 50% chance that you did count. Hopefully if you're not sure, it's probably a 50-50. Hopefully. So if you're 50-50, you don't know. So then perhaps you did count. And even if you did not count, even if you didn't count, you actually did skip it. And even if you did not count, doubt number 2 is that majority of poskim, which are halachic authorities, say that remember we said each day is its own mitzvah. Therefore, you can rely on a double doubt and continue with a bracha. Now, what does that mean? Since each day is its own mitzvah, they're not related. Even if you miss one, you're still in. Even if you miss a day, most people say you're still in. You could still count with a bracha. That's not what we do today. We are machmir, we are stringent, and we stop if you miss a day. Remember, we just said that before in line number 8. You stop with the bracha. But majority of halachic authorities say you should continue. We are machmir as a Jewish people to actually follow the more strict opinion that says that you shouldn't count. But most are lenient. You're still in. So, therefore, since you can rely on the lenient opinion, if it's true that maybe you did count already, so therefore the Mishnah Berurah says that's why a person is allowed to continue with a bracha. And that is all. That's all for today. If you're misupak, if you're in suffix. Good. Pause the video, get what you need to get done, and come back for the next part, which is the Gemara. Now, welcome back. We're going to start the Gemara here, and we're going to do the Tashma. We have about 7.5 minutes left, so we're going to try to do this. Let's see how much we can do in 7.5 minutes. I might stop in the middle because we're going to run out of time. I only get 15 minutes on this program. So, believe it or not, this is going to be an attempt to prove Abaye. Recall that Abaye had said, a person can only keep an item if they know the owner has given up hope at the time when they find it. Even though the person might give up hope in the future, it does not matter. That was what Rava said. It matters and we should be able to keep it even now. Abaye says you can only keep your friend's pencil if you know they gave up hope. If they had not given up hope yet, Abaye says you cannot keep him. We're not sure if he's right. Maybe Rava's right, because they will give up hope. So we're not sure. So this will prove Abaye. That's a little bit of a heads up. Tashma, come and listen. Here's another attempt from a brisa. Shataf nahar koirav eitav valvanov. Similar to the previous thing. Let's say there's a flood, and out of your front porch, out of your front door, comes the flow of water, and it takes away some beams, wood, or stones, or valuables, or anything. Takes away items, flooding out of your house. And it brings it and washes it up down the block to your friend's field. Washes it onto his property. Washes it onto his property. The guy who comes out in the morning and he finds a brand new set of furniture outside his property, washed up. He doesn't know where it came from. He's allowed to keep it. Why would he be able to keep it? Clearly it's from a flood. It's washed up on his front yard. Why do you think he's able to keep it? So if you answered, you could pause the video, think about it. If you answered because probably during a flood, if you see your items being flooded away during a storm, you're going to give up hope. So you're right. The brisa says, Mibnei shenisiyashu habalim, if you read on the bottom, because the owners give up hope on those items. If a flood happens and you see it going down, everyone knows that anybody's property is going to be hefker, it's going to be ownerless, because everyone doesn't know where it's going to be. They don't know if it's ruined. A lot of things could be happening to it. It could be destroyed. So if you're lucky and you wake up and you find a beautiful new set of undestroyed furniture from a flood, you can assume that the owners gave up hope. Now there's a big comma there. You have to enter a big comma there. Just remember. Time, the Gemara now says, it seems like the reason you can keep it is this nisyashu habalim, is because the owners gave up hope on those items. That means hastama lo. That would mean that in general, though, if they did not give up hope on those items, you cannot keep it. That sounds a lot like Abaye. Yes, very good. I see you hopped while I was going. You understood while I was reading it. You already saw this coming. It seems like a proof for Abaye. The only reason, again, I'm going back, the only reason you can keep the item is because they gave up hope. So what do we infer from that? Inferring is not explicit in the text. It's not telling you word for word what you should do, but we can figure out using our logic. Again, the whole Torah is based on man logic. It's actually, man, I mean as people's logic. It's actually a beautiful, beautiful thing that everything we do is based on a logical reason. Taima, this is to say that the reason you can keep it is this Yashu Habaylim, is because they gave up hope. However, Hastama lo. If they did not give up hope, Stama means that generally, Stam, in general, if they didn't give up hope, you see in the parentheses, then you would not be able to keep it, even in a flood. The only reason you can keep an item lost is because the owners had given up hope. Wow, this is a proof for Abaye. Very clear proof for Abaye. So Abaye said what? Fill in the blank. You can do this. What does Abaye say? You can go back to the previous daf, the previous amud on the top, where it said, Abaye says, if you find an item and you don't know if the owner gave up hope yet, you have to return it. You cannot keep an item unless you know for sure that an owner gave up hope. And that sounds like this Mishnah, sounds like this Braita. Proof for Abaye. As you see, there's green. So we know that we're going to defend Rava. So how do we defend Rava? You have to explain what's going on. What is going on? What does this case mean? That there's a flood and they see items flowing down to someone else's field? What's happening? The Gemara says, no. Hacha b'mayaskinon. The case, what are we dealing with here? What's the case? Can you explain more what's going on? Kishi yachul lehatzia. No, this case of the flood is when the owner could have saved the items. Let's say it was a baseball bat, brand new baseball bat or baseball glove or something flowing down the river. So I was in the park the other day, social distancing, and there was a guy playing baseball by himself on the field, and it got me excited and then a little sad because it's supposed to be baseball season, and it hasn't started yet. And I love baseball, and it reminded me of last year when we started playing catch outside in the nice weather on our campus, and so maybe a little sad, but it was nice to be outside and seeing people getting active. So let's say you see a baseball bat. The owner could have saved the baseball bat. He could have, swam a little bit, ran down his steps before the flood and grabbed it. He could have done something, or halfway down the block, chased after it if he really wanted it. Therefore, as you can see in the parentheses, the finder can only keep it if he heard that the owner gave up hope. Because in the case of the baseball bat, it floats and it moves slowly, or you can think of something that a person can grab. A piece of furniture, if it's floating down the street, there's no way the owner can get that back. And, who knows where it's going to end up. He's too heavy. But a light item that's floating, we're talking about those items. Listen, remember, poles, stones, rocks. The Gemara didn't say everything. The Gemara said, wood chips for a fireplace, things that you can grab. That's what's specifically talking about, little things. Those items, those you can only keep if the owner gave up hope because he could have saved them. And perhaps he's going after them right now, currently. And so the only way you can save them is if you know for sure that the owner gives up hope. That is a proof or a defense for Rava. Rava could still be right, because this case is talking about little objects, and therefore the owner is still looking for them. And so when you hear the owner gives up hope, that's the only reason you could have kept them, because they were trying to get them. They're still trying to get them. And so you have to assume the owner's looking for them. And that is not the case of Yeh Shalom Idat. That is not the case of them giving up hope, and we were not sure yet, because you know they didn't give up hope yet, because they're looking for them. Had you heard that they didn't give up hope, that they already gave up hope, so then you could keep these, because they're showing you that, you know what, they don't want to get it, even though they could have. That's answer possibility number 1. Next week, we're going to talk about possibility number 2, which is a continuation of this Braita. I have 10 seconds left, so I want to wish you guys have a good day. there's going to be, again, before you go, don't exit out. There's going to be another quiz on next Monday. There's going to be more work to do, so keep checking that Google Classroom. Have a good